Coming to you from the United States of America, this is Political Analytical. I'm your host, Eddie Hill, along with Rick Warren and Gordon Park. Join us as we give our opinion concerning everything dealing with politics. We don't hold back, so prepare for a no-nonsense approach to the news, and no, we don't care about your feelings. Uncensored and no sugarcoating. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Hello and welcome everybody to Political Analytical. I'm your host, Eddie Hill, along with my other co-hosts. We have the incredible and sexy Rick Warren. We also have the devil himself, the sexiest devil himself, the sexy and talented Gordon D. Park. And we also have James Toop, who is our most sexy and jade host. So
I don't have the sexy devil title, but I can live with that. You know, it goes to Gordon, man. Gordon, you've earned that sexy devil title, buddy, and wear it proud, man.
You don't even have the clothing to match with that, James.
He don't need it. You know, when you got a title like sexy devil, you don't need the clothing, bro. You have that aura, and you have the sexy devil. You know, never mind the underpants. You know, and just it is what it is.
Well, we've got Scott Hammond's on here. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
You're sexy for
We've got Deborah Fawcett. Hey, y'all. Good evening. Good evening, Deborah. We have Lisa Franks. How you doing, Lisa? She goes, hey, all. Deborah says, the sexy devil. Ooh, you're getting comments on that there, Gordon. Devil. We have Darren. Hello, you beautiful people. Hello, Gordon. LOL. Deborah. Hello. You're all sexy guys. Yes, we are, Deborah. Thank you so much, but we don't have the wardrobe that says it.
Don't.
Okay. And then we've got Danielle says, hey guys, hi Danielle. And we have Gene, who says, evening all. How you doing, Gene? Pleasure to have you on here. And Deborah says, hi, hey Lisa. So it's great to have everybody on here, man. This is awesome. This is one of these type things where the show is going to be dealing with a lot of what ifs, a lot of probabilities, and we're going to be looking into the possibility of what can actually take place if Biden wins. We have Teresa Churchill says, hey, Deborah and Lisa. Hi, everyone. How you doing, Deborah? Or Teresa, how you doing? Pleasure to have you on here. And Lisa says, hey, mama. Well, Lisa's not sexy devil.
Right.
You know, this show, we can't spill the beans. It is an inside joke. This is one that we're gonna have to carry the cross on our shoulders for a while, gentlemen.
It's ridiculous. It's super ridiculous, but is what it is.
Wow.
So
yeah,
while I am changing our sexy devil's name on here because I couldn't resist, I had to. Sorry, Gordon. It's one of those things, where you just gotta,
Oh yeah, believe me, I understand, and please understand that I hold a special place in my heart for each and every one of you, one of you three fuckers.
There you
I'm sure you have a special place in your underwear drawer too. A special place in your underwear drawer that you hold certain things as well. But we're not going to get into that. That's the inside part. And at least you changed your name back to your undercover name.
Everybody, Kristen, hey, This was great. I mean, that was a great idea. We appreciated that.
Kristen, get off the show.
Gordon's gonna
Everybody loved this.
Gordon's gonna kill us.
Man,
He's gonna kill us.
we are together on here probably about 15 minutes or so before the show starts, talking a little bit about everything. And today would be one of those days where
Uh-huh.
the joke started flying, and certain people got involved,
This is too much.
and we had a really good time before the show started. So, yeah, we couldn't resist that one. But now that we got that kind of out of our system, Gordon is sitting back there a little bit steamy because he is a sexy devil and he's hot. Rick, what do you have for us, brother?
I'm going to start off, Eddie, with the with what's going on the internet. And this battle on the internet, I'm sure everybody has seen, and everybody has footage of what's going on. It's getting ludicrous. It really is, because we're still divided, Eddie. I mean, totally divided down the center, Democrat, Republican, and the battle is waging on. It's raging like a inferno, Eddie.
We do. We have a serious war going on right now, political war, and that is something that I think is going to continue onward for quite some time. I don't think it's going to go away very quickly.
Well, but we as the conservatives and the Republicans, we are at an advantage in that war. And what I mean by that is we're only fighting a war on one front. The Democratic Party is fighting a war on two fronts. They have as much turmoil going on inside of the party as anybody does on the outside of that party. And what I mean is that you have James's girlfriend, Nancy Pelosi, trying desperately to hang on to her seat as Speaker of the House, and his new love, AOC, trying to take that seat.
If I could
Now,
show
we
you
all
three,
know
I would. But this is a family channel. This is a family channel. If I could show you three of these, I would.
We know that Cortez's main focus, if she takes that seat, is going to be the new Green Deal, the Paris Accords, and between her and Kamala Harris is going to be the Second Amendment right. And those are going to be the first three things that we lose. We are going to lose $1 trillion on the Paris Accords. We are going to lose probably $500 billion on the new Green Deal. And we are going to lose our freedoms on the Second Amendment.
Okay, let me throw this to you, Gordon. I know you say we're going to lose our freedoms for the Second Amendment. I honestly think that if they start messing with the Second Amendment, there is going to be actual blood being spilled at that time. I don't think people are going to stand for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Eddie. You're a law enforcement officer, and the feds come down with a statute. You work for the sheriff's department, and the feds come down with a statute that everybody in your county has to surrender their semi-automatic weapons and assault rifles by December 1st. And if they don't, you're to do a door-to-door search.
Not happening.
Not happening, right?
Negative.
No.
You
So-
ever heard that old saying, Gordon?
Negative.
Yourself?
Yeah.
I ain't doing it.
Okay.
We have military
So then
that's
let's-
going to say the same thing.
Yeah, we have military that's going to say the same thing. So let's take that a step further. The feds come back and say, okay, here we are, January 1st. We don't have a quarter of the assault weapons that were sold in the U.S. We don't have a quarter of them turned in.
Yeah, I'd been like, that's a real bitch, isn't it?
States, y'all haven't done your job. Soldiers are now going to be asked to go from door to door. So the soldiers rise up and say, nah, fuck off. So now we're into February. So what's the next step? Next step is UN. Because UN's not going to care.
And the UN, the first blue helmet that we see, you're going to start getting shot at. And honestly, I would be the first one to fire that shot. I don't care.
I will too.
And what is funny to me is they, meaning the Democratic Party, the upper leadership of the Democratic Party, whether it's, Nancy Toops Pelosi, or whether it's AOC, or whether it's, whatever the case may be, they're going to try to use the very folks that they have tried to defund to take our weapons.
Now we had
tonight
in Alabama.
Okay, so
home break-ins and stealing guns. So there are not that many guns left in the state of Alabama. I think, Gene, you're going to find that there's a lot more guns still in the state of Alabama that you're not aware of. I promise you. Darren says you guys are lucky.
Oh, hell yeah!
Laser dot on someone and let the cat loose. And Deborah says, "Amen, Eddie." Here's the thing, gentlemen. You've got to draw a line. Everybody has to draw a line. How far are we willing to let the government push and slowly but surely take away our constitutional rights? I'm not going to let them take shit. And
Eddie,
honestly,
tonight,
I'm sorry, sir.
Eddie, tonight, I just walked in the door. I had one of the most beautiful deer hunts with my two sons. They're not taking that away. They're not taking my hunting, my privileges as an American away from me.
No, Rick. Hey, where did Gordon dropped off, or what happened?
Yeah, we lost Gordon for a moment, so hopefully he'll be back on.
Damn it,
in a minute. But
I want Gordon about this right here. And real quick, Rick. So they're not taking the they don't want to take your Second Amendment away, them to do that, right? But what have they already done to the First Amendment? Let's talk about the First Amendment. The First Amendment of the Constitution is what? Freedom of speech, right? They've already taken that away by censoring on social media. Whenever you put a post up and they say, well, this goes against our standards, you've been blocked, or whatever the case, or they fact check you with some bullshit left wing. Hey, there's Gordon. Check you, Gordon. We're talking about the First Amendment, and they've already taken your freedom of speech away. They fact check you, and they say, no, you're going against our standards. You're not allowed to say that on a social media platform. Okay. The other part of that about Nancy Pelosi Park is fixing to be phased out. Okay. Nancy Pelosi is fixing to lose her seat. You caught that right, Eddie. She's fixing to lose her seat. Hey, it's payback's a bitch, right? She's supposed to be losing her seat pretty soon. She has lost backing of a lot of in the Democratic Party, and that also goes along with AOC. AOC, that donkey-faced bitch, is fixing to be out of there too. She's like a little hoe that all the internal Democrats, they don't have my back. They don't support me in the Green New Deal and all this stuff. And the Green New Deal is a shit deal. That is what it is. Green New Deal is going to be devastating for the economy, probably for the world. He's fixing it. He's talking about stepping back out of policy. Go ahead.
James, you have to look. You have to take a step back and look at the people who are backing. She won her seat again. Most of the people that we are talking about, the Muslim crowd, so to speak, and I'll say that, they won their seats again. And that's a powerful unit. That is something we have to deal with. That is somebody that we have to look at. And that's somebody that we're sitting there looking at, dictating to us what the Constitution is going to be done with.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon, my friend, is a constitutionalist.
So
And he can sit there and tell you, and he can sit there looking at it as far as what they're doing, picking the Constitution apart letter by letter.
Gordon?
absolutely,
Yes.
totally agree.
Yes, Eddie.
What is your take? I mean, we just got done with this little back and forth deal as far as the Constitution and as far as them picking apart and taking it little by little. What's your feelings on all this? I mean, where do you stand? I mean, what do you think is going to happen? If you could look into a crystal ball, what do you see?
I see that the progressive people who they call themselves the radical thinkers and the people who say that they are the idealists and ideological members of our society, they're going to continue to do whatever they have to do to continue to elect these fucking idiots. And they're going to amend our Constitution. They're going to change what it means to their best interest. And they're going to do it and do it and do it and do it until there is not a modicum of what the Constitution was originally written to be actually remains. There's only one way to stop it. And
Civil
at
War.
some point, it's going to happen. At some point, it has to happen. And that is for the patriots of the United States of America to rise up and say, enough is enough.
Enough. Touche.
And take to the streets
Did you
and start laying blood in their streets.
But here's the thing, Gordon. I mean, we've got so many fools, so many idiots that are out there right now that got us into this position with all their bullshit, all their hatred, all their freaking far leftist Marxism, all this crap that's going on. Even if we took to the streets, we would have to take them out to get through all this crap first.
Eddie, we did this to ourselves.
Yes, we did, because we
Conservatives have done this to themselves. We have sat back long enough and said, you know what? We're going to let them do what they want. We just, we don't want to cause any waves. We don't want to create any issues until we've been pushed too far to the point to where there is no return. There is no longer a point of return for our America.
But where do you
America is done.
Here's the thing.
Where do you draw the line?
Here's
The
the
line has
thing.
already been drawn. It's just which group is going to be willing to step across that line and say no more. Is it going to be a cattle rancher in Nevada? Is it going to be a group of pro-Trumpers in Seattle? Is it going to be somebody in Texas, a group of people in Texas? Who's going to be the first to step across that line and say, fuck y'all, enough's enough?
Now, real quick, Deborah Fawcett says the majority is ready to rise up against them, praying some of the corrupt bastards are going to prison at the end of these investigations. But we are ready to fight. I think everybody is right now, Deborah, which is a good thing, because enough's enough. Like Gordon said, Gordon, if you would, you might want to cut your gain down just a little bit. When we start talking loud, it starts breaking up. So your gain might be up a little bit too high. Okay, James, go ahead. I know you had something to say, and I got to step away for just one moment.
So everybody's like, okay, we're going to take it to the streets. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So did you guys happen to look at the march in DC yesterday? When there were more people in the streets and on the block than a fucking AC/DC concert or a Maiden concert. You're talking a lot of people that were out on the streets. People are already taking it to the streets. They're already out in the streets. The pro-Trump march that happened, with thousands and thousands of people. And when I listened to my news this morning, Reuters commented that there were hundreds of Trump supporters out in the streets of DC, Hundreds. That's what they said. Reuters reported hundreds. No, bullshit. When you look at it live, it was thousands, tens and hundreds of thousands of people on the street for Trump. They're taking it to the streets. Right now, I have a feeling they're being nice. Everybody's being nice right now as far as the Trump supporters are being nice. When shit really hits the fan, we're not going to be so nice.
But James,
Gordon, come back.
I hear what you're saying, James, but the problem I have is if these guys were really ready to take it to the streets, you had a whole bunch of BLM people show up. You had a whole bunch of anti-protesters, counterinsurgent protesters that showed up to for BLM. If that was an action that was really across the line, then how are any of those people still standing? How are any of those people still conscious?
You're saying the BLM showed up at the Trump rally.
Yes. So if these Trump people are really ready to be in the streets, if they're really ready to take this and clean house the way that we need to, then how did any of those BLM supporters make it out of their conscious? That's my point.
Because the BLM not as civilized. The BLM supporters are not as civilized as the Trump supporters. You had a bunch of Trump supporters in the street that weren't burning anything, wasn't causing any kind of chaos and all this other stuff. The BLM and the Antifa, let me back it up. The BLM and the terrorist organization Antifa burn shit down, cause chaos and everything else. The Trump supporters are out in the street showing support and doing a good job of boosting their political person. That's what they're doing. They're doing a positive rally. And this wasn't even a called rally. Trump went through that thing, and on his way to his golf course, he went through that. He didn't call that rally. He didn't speak at that. This is something that the supporters decided to do and call this rally and come on and show support for Trump. They're not burning anything down. The reason BLM made it out of there alive is because the Trump supporters on the scene were civilized enough to let them make it out alive. And they had the good old boys, or whatever these guys are called. What do they call those guys? It's help me out. What's the name of these guys? Shit.
You're talking about
the good boys or the
grassroots.
Yeah,
no, there's something boys.
What's the name of these guys?
I forget the name of them, but yeah, I know.
Fuck, I can't remember the name. But these guys showed up, and they showed up in ballistic vests and helmets and everything else and all this. And Reuters is making a big freaking deal. CNN making a big deal out of this shit. Oh, you good old boys, whatever these guys' name is. I don't even know these guys. I can't remember their name. But they show. Oh yeah, well these guys. They showed up and this and that. The Proud Boys. The Proud Boys. That's what it is.
Yeah. Thank you,
and
Darren.
hell yeah. Why thank you, Darren. Why the hell not show up in this right here? Because these guys are here to protect the Trump supporters. Look at this. You think Biden on the flip side of this, you think Biden would have this? You think Biden would have this much support? Absolutely not. Hell no. So the reason BLM and all that made it out alive and without a scratch on them is because the Trump supporters are more civilized. We're out there in the streets to support. We're not out in the streets to burn down and cause chaos. That's exactly right there.
My point. They are more civilized. They are going to have more self-control because they've got bills to pay and jobs to go to. But it's going to get to the point to where we don't have a choice anymore.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, Gordon. I completely agree with that. But, so
we do not make it at some point.
Looking at, go ahead.
He walked like we're in some backstreet massage parlor with a happy ending, only it's not going to be so happy.
Yeah, you won't get a happy ending on that. Trump, so he's not succeeding to the loss or any of this other stuff. And there's a lot of things that they're putting out right now as far as his tweets saying that, he's starting to admit to his defeat and all this other stuff and everything else. And I've seen it. There is a few things that are saying that right now. And the fact that Trump is if he happens to not take control for the next 4 years. He's going to come up with a media platform as far as a social media platform, another TV show as far as a news stream, a news show, a news channel for him, and build himself back up for another 20 election. So they're saying a lot of things that he might not win this thing, and that's something that we have to talk about and something we want to look at, because as pro-Trump as I am, you see it right here. As pro-Trump as I am, I have to grapple with the fact that he may not win this thing. Okay, and if he don't, what is our next step? I can't be so consumed in my thinking that Trump is going to win again for years. I have to consider the fact that he may lose, and if he does, what is his next steps? What is he going to do moving forward? And how is this how is this Harris campaign and administration going to affect us in the next 4 years? And that's something I have to think about. That's something my family, because I'm going to lose probably my job if they shut down oil and gas. That's the industry I work in. So what's going to happen there, right? These are the things we need to think about right here. The things we need to talk about is, what if it's a Biden-Harris campaign versus a Trump campaign?
Okay, right now we've got Sunday Live: Globalist unleash Antifa BLM army to crush dissent against rigged election. That's one of the headlines out right now. And
so do we believe the election is rigged? Do we believe the election is rigged? Yes, 100%.
Let's see. The historic and awesome, inspiring millions MAGA march in support of Trump and election integrity. And the globalists back Antifa and Black Lives Matter, who descended on Washington, D.C. in a bid to crush the grassroots American rebellion.
Stop right there, Eddie.
Go ahead.
In what, out of the words that Eddie just read, what in any of our minds makes any of you other gentlemen think, or anybody in the comment section think, that these guys are coming peacefully to ask us to stop?
Nothing at all. Nothing have they done in the last 4 years has been peaceful, has been civil, or anything.
So, James, I don't know how you were brought up, or Rick, how you were brought up, or Eddie, even for you for that matter, but I have a pretty good idea on you, Rick. My dad told me, look, if you're going to get hit, when you get back up, you make sure they don't. And for 4 years, we've been hit. And I know the good book says that some of you got to turn the other cheek, but guess what? We're out of fucking cheeks.
Well, we keep getting hit every time we turn the other cheek.
So then when are we going to stop?
We run out of cheeks. I only got 4 cheeks. I have 4 cheeks, and I've run out. As an American citizen, I have 4 cheeks, 2 up here, 2 down here. Well, Nancy Pelosi probably has about 17 cheeks. Pelosi probably has 17 cheeks. And I'm telling you right now, we're not about all the shit they've done to us in the last 4 years. We're not going to forget that. Go ahead, Rick.
You know what, guys? I've heard you guys talk. I've heard you guys speak. I know, I feel your passion. And just like everybody in the comment section and everybody talking about this and everybody looking at it and everything. But let me tell you about a defeated nation, okay? Let me tell you about what war is really like. We're talking about the Native American people who got beat by the same government you are talking about. You're talking about a nation of people that was taken down, and we were put on the reservations. And as far as I can tell right now, gentlemen, we are looking at the same scenario going on. If this implosion of what is going on, of what we used to call the United States of America, continues on, just like Gordon talked about, are you ready? Are you really ready for what's going to happen in the streets? Are you man enough? Are you woman enough to sit there and watch your kids go through what's going to happen? Blood in the streets, people getting killed, because that's what it's coming to, people. That's what it's coming to right now.
They're not.
And it's scary. I know. I don't want to be a doom and gloom guy, but people, reality is reality, because guess what? If we don't deal with reality, just like Gordon talked about and James talked about, we have nothing left.
Well said.
Very well said.
Absolutely.
Darren says they won't. It's a global tyranny working through the Democratic Party. My God, it's just like declaring independence from Britain again. Thoughts on that, Gordon?
Mm-hmm.
Except there is no new world. When America was founded, everybody called it the New World. It was a freedom from tyranny, it was a freedom to express your religion. It was freedom to say whatever the hell you wanted to say, whatever was on your mind. It was a freedom to carry a gun around. It was a freedom to sit and worship however we wanted to worship, to work in tandem with whoever we choose to work in tandem with. For us to declare independence now is there is no new world. There's not another land that's not been discovered. There's no place to run. There's no place left to hide.
Agreed.
Agreed. Thought, James?
Okay, I agree with Gordon 110%, but I'm going to set up a little bit. There is no new world to discover, but there is a new battleground to discover. I don't see it being like back in the day, back in the Revolutionary War, where it's bullets being slung and people in the trenches. I think nowadays it's a new battlefield. We have social media, we have internet, we have different ways of making it out there and meeting people and getting our agenda put out. And I think that is the new battleground. Yes, sir.
James, we already have people dead in the streets. Yeah. We already have men, women,
we do.
Cops dead.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. We do have people dead in the streets, but we have more action on the battlefront as technology has evolved versus people in the streets. We can count probably on 25 hands of how many people has died in the course of all this stuff going on, right? We can count. There's a body count. There is a body count out there. Let's say it's 300 people. Okay. Compare that to the Revolution, right? And versus the war online and versus the war of shifting a magnitude of people and their thoughts and ideals and everything and the way they believe into an election and into the whole genre of everything going on. There's a whole field going on right now. And even though online there's no bloodshed, I get it. There's a lot of folks in the street that have died and lost their lives for this, but there's a whole new battlefield going on. I think it's technology. And that's the thing, Gordon.
I hate to call you out on this, but even by your own words earlier tonight, that battlefield is already slanted because the people who control it tell us what we can and can't get out. So how can you call it a battlefield if it's one-sided? That's not a
It's
battlefield.
not one-sided. It's not what I said. I didn't say it was one-sided.
If the media
I didn't say it was one-sided at all.
Gets out, if the media is controlling what gets out, that is not a battlefield. That is one point of view that is nationally and worldwide spread. That is not a battlefield. That does not show actual outcome.
Propaganda.
But it does promote outcome. What happened in the election? You have an outcome. You have people that are voting for Biden, people that are voting for Nancy Pelosi. It is show outcome. Regardless of if there's bloodshed or not, you have an agenda that goes to the people, and then they're outcoming people in here. Why in the hell would you vote for Pelosi if you're not totally brainwashed?
James, James, let's look at the first revolution, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure, I am positive that British people sat there and went to Parliament and sat there and put every letter and every T and every I was dotted and everything was proposed by the Parliament of British people and rule. And when that happened, they brought it to the American people in the colonies. And what happened? It was thrown away. It was destitute from the time it hit the paper and the ink wasn't even dry. And what happened after that? After that, we started war. And so there is a front that we have right now. And there's a division that we have to look at too, because if we don't look at the division, then we really don't look at the problem.
Now, we had one question real quick on what happened to the lawsuit. The lawsuits are still being filed. There's lawsuits popping up all over the place. Trump has been putting lawsuits up left and right. However, some he's won, some he's lost. However, a lot of this is going to end up having to go to the Supreme Court. And, you know, I'm not sure what's going to happen with all that, but I mean, it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. You know, who knows what's going to happen? It's all going to depend on how much they're able to prove as far as any type of voter fraud. And with mail-in ballots, it's extremely, extremely difficult to backtrack those. Darren says, independence and freedom is a movement that ends in having to be fought for. It starts off as an ideal. Didn't it take years of planning to revolt before the bullets started flying? And I'm going to leave you guys with that thought for a moment. We're going to have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, guys. So just sit back.
I love our discussion, guys. Way to be. I love it.
We'll see you in just a minute. Think about that just in just a little while.
My young love said to me, my mother won't mind, and my father won't spite you for your lack of kind. And she stepped away from me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. She stepped away from me, and she moved through the fair. And fondly I watched her go here and go there. And she went her way homeward with one star away. As the swan in the evening moved over the lake. The people were saying that no two were wed, but one has the sorrow that never was said. And I smiled as she passed me with her goods and her gear, and that was the last word I saw of my I dreamt it last night that my young love came in. So softly she entered, her feet made no din. She came close beside me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day.
And we are back from break, everybody. Welcome back to Political Analytical. I'm your host, Eddie Hill, along with my other hosts, Rick Warren and Gordon D. Park and Jane Toops. So I left you guys with a thought. And I want to see where y'all stand on that. I mean, go ahead and spit it on out.
Rick,
Well, I'm just going to say this, okay? I love my America. I'll say that again. I love my America. And there's not one man on this show that I wouldn't stand shoulder to shoulder with. There's not one woman on this show in the comments that I would not stand shoulder to shoulder with. Because I believe America is worth fighting for. I believe what you, James, what you, Gordon, what you, Eddie, believe in as far as America. That's the America we know. That's the America that I will stand shoulder to shoulder with and fight for. We have to look at this new front you guys are talking about, because I believe this is ground that we've never stepped foot on before. Not you, not me. Our forefathers did. And they left us an example. of what freedom really looks like.
Now, Darren says, I hope it doesn't come to a civil war. But like Gordon says, it has to happen for there to be real change. After Trump gets confirmed and any battles are fought, America will start a whole new and a great future, I think. James, what's your thoughts?
I mean, Jesus, if they want to start a civil war, I'd like to see how their dildos hold up to my SKS, to be honest with you, because they're not ready for a civil war. They're not. They are too inflamed. And the point I was trying to make before is the battleground is social media and the news outlets and everything else. That is the battlefront. I don't think it's going to come down to a civil war as far as like bullets being shot and everything else. I don't see that happening. Because these folks are so anti-Second Amendment, and what are they going to do? They're going to start throwing spatulas and flip flops. I don't see that happening. Look at the turnout on this march that they had in DC. Dude, there was thousands of people at this march, just in support for no reason. They called a march and they had it. And it wasn't a Trump rally. It wasn't anything like this. It wasn't political. It was just a march. And, you have the news outlets saying they were downgrading this shit. They were like, oh, it was only 120, 150 people and this and that. As they were showing thousands of people on the streets, it's ridiculous. And, I don't know about you guys, but I've shifted all of my news fronts to Newsmax. I've totally disconnected from Fox. I think Fox has sold out the American people. CNN, I've never been a fan of CNN, but that doesn't stop me from going to Fox and going to CNN and going to Washington Post just to see where their thinking is. I will go and check those daily just to see where their thinking is. But my main source is Newsmax. Is Newsmax in the middle? No, I don't think so. I think Newsmax is leaning more right. I really do. I don't think they're non-biased. I don't believe they're non-biased. There's a lot of stories on Newsmax that face far right. But the other part of that is, do you trust anything from any of the media outlets? I don't think you should, but is Trump fixing to concede to this defeat? And technically he is defeated, but let's not forget Joe Biden is not president-elect. He is not confirmed president-elect. I don't care what kind of cardboard sign he has in his basement that says President-elect Joe Biden. He is a pretend president-elect. And people forget that. And it's ridiculous to hear these outlets say that.
Now, Deborah Fawcett, she says, we can't let them take our freedom from us, and we won't. We're fighting for the America that we love and for our Constitution. Trump is battling the media, the corrupt politicians, and the deep state for us. We can't quit now. We won't quit. And I agree with you,
Absolutely,
James. Nothing sickens me more than to hear the media call him president-elect. He's not president-elect yet. I've sent messages
pisses me off,
telling him, and Fox as well, telling them stop calling him president-elect. He's not. He is not president-elect. Biden, he's not. He's still former Vice President Biden until everything comes out in the wash.
And so is Barack Obama.
Did you guys hear about? Yes. Did you guys hear about the Logan Act? Did y'all hear anything about the Logan Act recently about Biden and the Logan Act?
Yes, I did.
So Biden right now is a citizen. He's an American citizen. He is not president-elect. He's on the phone right now. For everybody that don't know, he has violated the Logan Act. And what the Logan Act is, and Gordon probably backed me up on this, is that as a citizen, you cannot talk with diplomats overseas. You can't talk to like the French, these guys about what's going on in Ukraine, in Iraq, and everything else. You can't do that. Biden's accepting phone calls from these diplomats from overseas, from France and from Germany and from all these other places. No surprise, China. And he's discussing COVID. He's discussing Ukraine. He's discussing Iran. And he's doing all these things. And he's violating the Logan Act right there. What's going to happen there?
He
Yes, sir.
has since been shut down. He has since been shut down by Pompeo. That said, you cannot do this. You cannot talk to foreign dignitaries. You cannot do this. And Pompeo, he just slapped them and said, you cannot talk to a foreign dignitary.
What do you
The
think?
fact is, he's done it already. So what's the accountability on that? He's already done this. So what is the accountability on that, Rick?
The fact is that it is going to be back to the State Department and to our political offices as far as who is the president of the United States right now, and that is Mr. Donald J. Trump. He has
Now,
not
here's
left
the one-
office. He has not. Go ahead, Eddie.
I'm sorry. Now, here's the one thing you got to remember about the Logan Act. If the Logan Act was going to be effective, or if it was going to be in effect, it would have went into effect when we had our so-called basketball player, and you know who I'm talking about, head over and talk to Kim Jong-un and made friends with him.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Didn't
Exactly.
happen, did it? And the
Yes,
Logan
I
Act-
do. But the difference is he wasn't running for president, and he's not proclaiming president-elect, and he's not a ex-vice president. That's the difference
Now-
between him and Joe Biden.
Dennis Higgins says, you're right. They are not ready for civil war, but they will still go there. We outman them and we outgun them. We will never stop, and we will always be there to stand
All day.
up to them. The deep state will never give up. The patriots will never, let me see, and the patriots will never give up. The patriots don't want them to give up. We want to show the world who the victors are. And Darren says, yeah, it's weird. Our intelligence agencies won't share any top secrets with me. I've asked and demanded, LOL. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Rick, I'm
Well,
sorry.
so Darren,
Continue.
I sent.
I'm sorry, James.
Go
I was
ahead, Rick.
talking earlier, and I cut him off.
Oh, I was just discussing about, what we as Americans right now, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, okay? It's not a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's not a brown thing. I don't care who you are. You are an American. And I wish to hell that we'd start acting like that, because guess what? Just like Gordon talks about the Constitution and everything, that is the most powerful piece of paper in the world. And I'll say that again. That is the most powerful piece of documentary paper existing in the world. We've amended it, we've kicked it in the ass, and we've laughed about it, and we sit there and bastardize it, but still it stands no matter what.
Gordon?
I want to go back to the Logan Act. It was enacted in January 30th of 1799. And it says that it criminalizes negotiation by unauthorized American citizens with foreign governments that have an open dispute with the U.S. In 1799, an open dispute was an act of war, or they were in a physical confrontation where bullets were flying.
Sedition and treason.
Right. People who were convicted of that or who broke that law were convicted of sedition and treason. They are not going to, as much as I would forego buying my house to buy tickets to watch that idiot lined up against a wall if found guilty for treason. I really would. but they're not going to put him up against the wall. They're not going to let anything. They're just going to say, "Don't do it again, sweetheart. It's okay. Don't do it again." And that's all these politicians anymore are going to get. Don't do it again, sweetheart. It's okay. These guys have gotten to the point to where they think they are above the law because they have a hand in writing the law. How many bills were passed in the Obama administration that we never voted on?
Oh God.
Our elected officials were supposed to vote in the constituent for their constituents. How many bills were passed? How many executive orders were signed that the American people never agreed on? How many amendments have been passed by the people in power that don't give a shit about their constituents? They do it to benefit themselves.
That they have been doing for quite a long time. And Deborah says a bunch that you wouldn't even imagine.
Yep,
James? I'm sorry, Rick.
exactly.
Rick, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with Gordon. I want to bring back what James was talking about also, as far as we as who we are right now. You, Eddie, Gordon, James, and everybody in this chat room right now. We are the ones that have to look at each other in the morning. When I stand in front of that mirror, am I going to be happy with what I see tomorrow morning when I sit there and turn on the news and see what they're doing to my Constitution? To see what they're doing to my United States of America? To see what they're doing to each and every one of us? I can't be happy because I think there's something more that I can do. I think there's something more that all of us can do as Americans. And let's just quit the bullshit, okay? Let's quit dividing the country on blue and red, and let's just be American, okay? Can we do that? Are we ready to? Or do we continue down this road of destruction? Do we continue down this road of oblivion of what I saw was a beautiful thing at one time called the United States of America?
I agree. And Darren says, don't forget, guys, there are millions of people around the world that aren't American, but are your brothers and sisters that love the freedom you guys fought for and cherish. I think, Darren, thank you. I couldn't have said it better. That's awesome.
Bingo.
You know, bravo. Yeah. That's awesome right there. Well, fellas, we are out of time. We're going to have to start doing some closing statements on this. We're going to start off with James. Go ahead and give us a closing statement, closing comments, and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. So, you know, I've preached this on the show multiple times before. Get out and vote, out and vote, get out and vote. Your vote counts. Every vote counts. And we're seeing it now. You know, we're closing in on, you know, a handful of thousand of votes. It means people votes count. So here's what I can say at the end of the day, no matter what happens at the end of all this bullshit and all this litigation, even if Biden gets into office, God forbid, I know I've done my part. I went out, I voted. I don't know if it counted or not, but I went out and voted, and I've talked to people and tried to turn their mind frame to vote for Trump because of all the policies. And I've tried to give them a black and white policy on, hey, here's what you're voting for. Okay. This is what, if you vote for Biden, this is what you're going to get. You vote for Trump, this is what you're going to get. I know I've done that. Okay. At the end of the day, I feel like I've done my part. All right. And no matter the way this thing plays out, I feel like I've done my constitutional part. And it's the first time I've ever voted ever in my life. And because I felt like it was that important to me to go out and do this. Okay. So at the end of the day, gets elected. Unfortunately, he is our president, and we have to accept that. Okay. I get it. And I hate to say that. I really do. But we have to accept that, and we have to move on. We have to not so much support what he's doing, but we got to just sit back, grin and bear what's going on and adjust. We're going to adjust our lifestyle to what's happening. So that's it, man. That's what I got right there. I mean, just people hang in there, hang in. I mean, this thing ain't over. It may be just beginning. We don't know.
Gordon?
My final thoughts are going to be I want to read something. There has been one rebellion. That comes to that one rebellion in a century and a half for each state. What country before ever existed a century and a half without a rebellion? And what country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. The remedy is to set them right as to the facts. What signify a life for two lost in a century or two? The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots
Bingo.
and tyrants. What does that truly mean? That means that the American populace as a general over the last 2 centuries has lost their ability, lost their want to, lost their drive, taken for granted, however you want to phrase it, what our forefathers did for us. What soldiers from 1776 to November of 2020 have done to preserve our freedoms. We have taken them for granted. And now we are paying the price. Our leaders do not fear the populace. Our leaders do not fear the fact that we can turn a vote and get them out. Why? Because this election has proven that it does not matter what the will of the people may be. All that matters is what the will of the upper 1%, the leaders of our country, want. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
We have a new comment over here from Matthew. It says, Biden in a landslide. Thank you for voting for Biden. We all made this possible together. I'm so happy. Well, like I said before, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's you got to get out and vote, and whoever wins, wins. But Biden still hasn't won. Not yet. We're waiting to see. But I appreciate the comment. Thank you so much for posting. And then Danielle says, you're right, Gordon. So we're going to start off over here with Rick. Go ahead.
Guys, I'm just going to say this, okay? I'm not ashamed to be an American. I'm not ashamed that I voted. I'm not ashamed of America itself. I am ashamed of what some of the people in America has brought it to fruition as far as what they want it to be. I am ashamed of the people who laugh and scoff at the Americans that have died and fought for this America. The other day it was Veterans Day. Veterans Day. We hold in our hands a responsibility to those people who fought and died for the freedoms that you laugh at. And I will stand, like I said, shoulder to shoulder with you, Eddie, with Gordon, with James, all day long, all night long. But I will not give in to a tyranny who says that I have to be this and that because why? Why? Because you tell me that I have to adjust to your new government? No. We have an America and a constitution that stands forth, that is strong, that we believe in, and we will never give up the right to believe in that. That's how strong I believe in that, guys.
Amen, Rick. And I have to agree with all of you. I mean, you know, here's the thing. We all have a God-given right to jump out and go vote. But at the same time, we have a constitution which stands strong. Our constitution is the backbone of our country and our democracy. Our constitution is what needs to be defended. It doesn't matter what
Amen.
president gets in. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat, doesn't matter if it's Republican. The Constitution of the United States is what matters. Whatever president takes office gets in, and they take an oath to defend the United States of America and the Constitution. Any president who does not, anybody who does not defend the Constitution should be brought up on charges, because that is an oath that these so-called Democrats and Republicans take when they take office. There's an oath, and you swear to it. And if you cannot defend the Constitution of the United States for the people of the United States, who are all American, you have no business being in that office. And I am dead serious about that. You have no business being in an office if you cannot defend and protect the Constitution of the United States of America. This is not some third world country. This is not a place where we get ruled by our government. The government is ruled by the people, not the other way around. So many times I've heard the Democrats say that we don't know what is good for us. We don't know what we need. We don't know what we deserve. I think we do. And it's definitely not somebody telling us that we don't know what we need or deserve. We're ruled by the Constitution. The Constitution is what gives us our freedom, and our freedom we will uphold and we will fight for to keep, as our forefathers did. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. This is the United States of America. This is our country. This is the country that has fought. Men and women have died protecting and defending our Constitution. And so it will continue. On that note, stand strong, everybody, and keep faith. Win or lose, doesn't matter. As long as we continue pushing forward, we keep fighting, and we keep that Constitution alive. That's the most important thing. But
Exactly.
we love you guys. We love all of you. Thank you so much for stopping in. Even our friendly Biden supporter, thank you for stopping in and giving your comments. Nobody's rejected out of here. You know, as long as you keep it civil, you know, that's all we ask. And, you know, be safe, be strong, and love everybody, love each other. And y'all take care. And until next time, Political Analytical, y'all stay safe. Bye-bye.
Good night.